Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm being asked to speak on behalf of this young man, Jake Johnson. I'm here to try to explain his actions, but I feel that in order to understand his actions, you need to know his story. Jake's parents died in a car accident when he was 2. He had one younger brother. After the death of their parents, he and his brother were separated and haven't seen each other or spoken in years. Jake is 18 years old, and he's spent the past 16 years in a dozen different foster homes. Clearly, a few of the situations were abusive, both physically as well as mentally, to say nothing of emotionally. Think about what that would feel like. Nobody would give this young man a family, something to belong to believe in. For a young man in such a situation, the appeal of a group like the Brotherhood is immeasurable. I know it's difficult for people like us to imagine. It seems so extreme, so abnormal. But to a young man with nothing, the social connections offered by a membership within an extremist hate group might be the closest thing to love he has ever experienced. Think about that. Going through your entire life, and nobody has ever told you that they love you. Jake is not a bad person. He is a young man going through something most of us cannot even imagine. Imagine being unwanted, being told you're not good enough, being bullied and hated, given no home, no family. And then one day somebody says to you, "No, it was all a mistake. You're really somebody important, somebody special, somebody powerful. In fact, you're better than normal people. You're something else. You're superior. And look, here's a real family for you to belong to. And it's something larger and greater than all of humanity." Another lawyer might attempt to argue that due to the intensity and trauma of his upbringing, Jake does not know right from wrong. I would argue that he does. That is why, when the Brotherhood went forward with their terrorist attack, Jake turned on them. He is not a bad person. He is misguided. He does not need punishment. He needs education. Jake was born with an ability. It's a genetic condition brought on by the environment that he was born into. You see, Jake was born on the east side of Terminal City in St. Augustine's Hospital. I'm sure all of you are familiar on some level or another of the reputation St. Augustine's has. It is a place where strange things happen. Sometimes amazing, sometimes horrific. There are a lot of suggestions for why this is, all alleged, of course. Nothing proven. But there it is. Jake was born in St. Augustine's Hospital with a genetic condition that was dormant inside of him until he turned 16. But of course, it is more than just a condition. Some would argue that it makes Jake more than human. Some would say less. I'm not here to argue for either side of that argument. I am here to argue for Jake. Jake's condition grants Jake a wholly unique ability, and it is a destructive ability. Frighteningly destructive, some might say. And when it manifested in him, how did he try to use it? To help what he thought was his community. And why did he think this? Because he was misled by older, wiser adults with agendas of terror. How much can you take from one man? His family, his security, his childhood, his home, and then his eyes, his mind. A lot of experts have been brought in to explain Jake's ability. You've heard terms like psychic bionuclear expression and endothermic exotic radiation. But let's be blunt. If Jake stares too long at anything, it begins to burn and eventually will explode. So now he can't read, or write, or watch TV, or look at a pretty girl, or drive a car, or live a normal life ever again. Folks, these are the facts. On the morning of June 18th, 2017, Max Harris and his associates carried out a planned attack on the Pacific Center Mall right here in downtown Terminal City. The city is still mourning the 23 innocent lives we lost that day. But if not for the actions of Jake, I assure you that number would be significantly higher. Max Harris, like Jake, was born with an environmentally induced genetic condition which gave Max a bizarre capability. He was genetically gifted with the ability to awaken the kinetic potential within organic physical bodies. Effectively, he was able to transform human beings into literal walking bombs. And using that power, he murdered. He executed 23 innocent citizens of this city. I don't have to tell you their names. You know who they are. But how many more would Max have killed? A dozen? 100? 1,000? He had the power to do it, and certainly the will. So what stood in his way? This one young man. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know Max Harris as an extremist terrorist. But to Jake, Max was a father figure, a savior. Max offered Jake security, stability, a home, a family, a purpose. And Jake repaid that kindness by using his ability to explode Max's heart. The Brotherhood was a terrorist organization, and Jake was a member of that organization. But was he a terrorist? Maybe before, at the meetings, he was. But that morning, there in the Pacific Center Mall, Jake stopped being a terrorist, and he became something else. I'm not saying he was a hero, but he at least behaved as a man, as an adult, as a member of the true society, the one you and I all belong to. Jake understood right from wrong, and he acted accordingly. Don't take this development from him now. If we punish him, we may never get to see the man he might grow up into. We might lose all that potential for good. It's not my job to decide what happens to Jake. That's your job. My job is simply to make sure that you understand his story so you might judge him accordingly to his situation. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I thank you for your time.